Across the quiet countryside of the United Kingdom, where ancient churches stand weathered by time and cobbled streets echo with the past, there are places shrouded in mystery. Places where the air feels heavier, where the silence is rarely empty, and where stories of restless spirits have been whispered for generations. These villages are more than just postcard-perfect relics of history. They have witnessed unspeakable tragedies, plague-stricken towns where entire families perished, battlefields where the earth was soaked in blood, and streets where the accused took their final steps before the hangman's noose. The past never truly fades here. Some say it lingers, waiting to be seen or heard. Tonight, we journey through 15 of the most haunted villages in the UK. From the spectral monks of Prestbury to the mournful cries of Pluckley's lost souls. From the cursed ruins of Minsden Chapel to the shadows that move between the standing stones of Avebury. These are places where history refuses to stay buried, and where those who once lived may still walk among us. Stay with me, if you dare. Let's begin. Haunted Village Number 1, Pluckley, Kent. Hidden deep in the Kent countryside, Pluckley looks like a picture-perfect English village. But beneath its charming facade lies a sinister past. Once a thriving medieval settlement, this village has seen centuries of bloodshed, betrayal, and untimely deaths. Stories of doomed lovers, vengeful spirits, and restless souls have haunted its narrow lanes for generations. Some claim the village is cursed, trapped in an endless cycle of tragedy and death. It has even earned the title of the most haunted village in England. One of Pluckley's darkest tales is that of the Screaming Man, believed to be a brickmaker who met a horrific fate when he fell to his death in a clay pit. His tormented cries are still heard on stormy nights, echoing through the fields as if reliving his final moments. Pluckley's paranormal activity is as varied as it is terrifying. The Red Lady, a grieving widow, roams the churchyard in search of her lost child. In the ruins of an abandoned mill, shadowy figures flicker in and out of sight. And then, there's the phantom highwayman. Murdered centuries ago, his ghost still lingers by an old crossroads, waiting for a duel that will never come. Visitors have reported feeling an icy grip on their shoulders, hearing footsteps that stop just behind them, and seeing ghostly faces staring from empty windows. Those who dare to enter Pluckley's haunted woods speak of an overwhelming sense of dread, an unseen force watching, waiting. But for what? One investigator, spending a night near the infamous Screaming Woods, described a chilling experience. The temperature dropped suddenly. My breath was visible in the air. Then, I heard it, ragged breathing just behind me. I turned, and saw nothing. But the feeling of being watched was unbearable, as if someone, was standing inches away, just beyond sight. Many have come to Pluckley seeking answers. Few have left without questions. Are these lingering souls trapped in time, or do they choose to stay, waiting for the next visitor to cross their path? Haunted Village Number 2, Pendle Hill, Newchurch, Lancashire. Pendle Hill, a name forever marked by betrayal, fear, and death. In 1612, 12 souls, men, women, and even a child, were accused of witchcraft. Neighbors turned against neighbors. Families were torn apart. 10 of them never saw freedom again, hanged on the orders of a terrified world. Newchurch, nestled at the foot of Pendle Hill, carries their memory. The old graveyard, untouched by time, is said to be their final resting place. But rest? That is something the accused never truly found. Those who walk these grounds speak of figures lurking between the headstones. Not human, not entirely visible. They appear only in the corner of your eye, until they don't. Paranormal teams have documented unexplainable temperature drops, their breath frosting in the air where no cold should exist. And the worst? The scratches. Deep, burning welts appearing on their skin as if someone, doesn't want them there. Then, there's the curse. Locals say it still lingers. Disrespect the site, mock the dead, and you invite something into your life. Cars suddenly refuse to start. Unseen knocks echo through empty halls. And some wake up gasping for air, an unseen weight pressing on their chest, as if cold hands are trying to steal the breath from their lungs. One man, a skeptic, decided to test the legend. He laughed at the warnings, ridiculed the stories. That night, he wandered into the graveyard alone, taunting the darkness. Hours later, he stumbled into a nearby pub, pale as a ghost. His hands trembled as he spoke. I heard voices, whispering my name. I turned my torch on, and I saw them. Shadows moving between the stones. No faces. No bodies. Just watching. And then, something grabbed my wrist. My skin felt like it was on fire. Perhaps it was his imagination. Perhaps not. But tell me, if you were standing there, if you felt the icy grip of something unseen pulling at you, would you still call it a myth? Or would you run, hoping it wasn't already too late? Let me know in the comments. Would you dare to visit Pendle Hill alone at night? Haunted Village number 3, Whitby, North Yorkshire. High above the town, where the cliffs meet the restless sea, the skeletal remains of Whitby Abbey stand against the sky. A place of worship and of whispers. It was here, among the crumbling stones, that Bram Stoker found his inspiration for Dracula. But long before fiction gave it fangs, something else made its home in the shadows of Whitby. The Abbey has seen centuries of devotion and despair. It has withstood storms, invasions, and even the dissolution of the monasteries. But some say it never truly fell, because something still walks its ruins when the sun begins to fade. A figure in white, barely more than mist, drifts along the cliffside. Locals call her the ghostly nun. Some claim she was a woman betrayed, locked away in the Abbey for a sin she never committed. Others whisper that she threw herself from the cliffs in despair, and that her soul still searches for justice. Fishermen out at sea tell of eerie lights flickering near the harbor, dancing just above the water, where no boat should be. And then, the wailing begins, a sound not of this world, rising and falling with the tide, as if the sea itself is mourning the lost. One sailor, returning late one night, swore he saw her. The nun. She stood at the edge of the cliff, staring out to sea. He called out, thinking she might be in trouble. No response. Then, as the wind howled, she turned, and he saw her face. Hollow eyes. A mouth frozen in an endless scream. The next thing he knew, he was on his back, the tide lapping at his boots. She was gone, but his skin burned with cold where she had looked at him. What did he see that night? A restless soul, trapped between this world and the next? Or something far older, waiting in the dark? Would you dare stand on those cliffs at dusk, knowing she might be watching? Let me know in the comments below, if you'd take that risk. Haunted Village number 4, Borley Village, Essex. In the heart of Essex, just beyond the whispering trees, lies Borley Village, a place forever tethered to something unseen. But it is not merely the village that chills the bone. It is what stands, or once stood, on its outskirts. Borley Rectory. Known as England's most haunted house, its name alone sends a shiver through those who dare to remember its past. Built in the 19th century, the rectory became infamous for its unexplained phenomena. Whispers of a tragic affair, a forbidden love between a nun and a monk, set the foundation for its hauntings. They were said to have planned an escape, but only one made it to the convent walls. The other was never seen alive again. And yet, some say she never left. Through the narrow village lanes, a figure in a habit glides soundlessly, her face hidden beneath a heavy hood. The Phantom Nun, they call her. She appears only in the dead of night, moving between the ruins, forever searching for something or someone. Poltergeist activity runs rampant in Borley. Windows shatter without cause. Objects hurl themselves across empty rooms. Doors slam as if unseen hands demand to be heard. And then, there are the voices. Paranormal investigators who have dared to record within the village have captured voices, murmuring prayers long forgotten. One researcher described it as if an entire chapel of lost souls were still calling out, their voices trapped in the very fabric of this place. One visitor, skeptical of the stories, walked the village alone one evening, determined to disprove the legend. As he passed the old church, he felt a shift in the air, a weight pressing down, thick as the fog itself. Then, just ahead, he saw her, the nun, still watching. But when he blinked, she was gone. He turned to leave, but found the doors of the church wide open behind him, though they had been locked moments before. Inside, something whispered his name. What would you have done in his place? Kept walking, or stepped inside? Tell me in the comments below, if you dare. Haunted Village number 5, Chillingham Village, Northumberland. Deep in the rolling hills of Northumberland lies Chillingham Village, a place where time itself seems to hesitate. Its crown jewel, Chillingham Castle, stands like a sentinel, its ancient stones heavy with the weight of history and something far darker. Once a stronghold during the bloody border wars, this medieval fortress has seen centuries of death. Prisoners were tortured in its dungeons, their cries echoing through the very walls that now trap their restless spirits. But one ghost is feared above all others, the Blue Boy. Visitors who dare to wander the castle at night often feel at first a sudden, icy chill wrapping around them like unseen hands. And then, from the darkness, a child's weeping. The Blue Boy haunts the dungeon, his presence marked by a strange blue light and an overwhelming sense of sorrow. Some say his bones were found buried within the castle walls, his tiny skeleton hidden away for centuries. But even after his remains were unearthed, he never left. And then, there are the screams. Tortured wails that seem to rise from beneath the floor itself, the remnants of those who met their end in the execution chambers. Some have reported feeling unseen hands brush against their skin, while others hear whispers, faint, unintelligible, but unmistakably real. One visitor, eager to prove the legends were nothing more than folklore, spent the night in the castle's most haunted room. The moment the lights went out, the temperature plummeted. A deep, suffocating cold filled the air. Then, just as sleep began to take hold, a whisper, right beside his ear. "Get out! If it were you, would you stay, or would you run?" Tell us in the comments below. Haunted Village number 6, Dartmouth, Devon. Dartmouth, a town shaped by the sea, holds more than just maritime history within its ancient streets. Sailors once set forth from its shores, some never to return. Others may have come back in ways no living soul can explain. At Bayard's Cove, where time-worn buildings lean over the water's edge, a lone figure has been seen drifting through the night, the Lady in Grey. No one knows her name, but those who have seen her describe the same thing. A sorrowful woman, dressed in faded grey, gazing out to sea, as if waiting for someone who will never return. But she is not alone. Strange lights have been spotted hovering over the waves, vanishing the moment anyone looks too closely. Sailors whisper of ghost ships seen through the mist, spectral vessels forever lost to the deep, doomed to sail an endless voyage. And then, there's the Black Dog of Dartmouth, a spectral hound said to be a harbinger of doom. Those who meet its glowing red eyes speak of an unshakable dread and misfortune that follows soon after. One man, a skeptic, laughed at the legend, until the night he found himself alone on the quiet streets of Dartmouth. He swears he saw it, lurking at the end of an alleyway. A huge, dark shape, its breath visible in the cold night air. As he took a step forward, it vanished, but the feeling of being watched never left him. That same week, he lost his job, his home, and almost his life in a freak accident. Was it just coincidence? Or was the curse real? Would you risk looking into its eyes? Let us know in the comments below. Haunted Village number 7, Hoghton Tower, Lancashire. High upon a hill, overlooking the Lancashire countryside, stands Hoghton Tower, a fortress of secrets, a place where history and hauntings intertwine. Built in the 16th century, these walls have seen kings and nobles pass through, but some have never truly left. One spirit said to walk these grounds is Sir Lancelot Hoghton, a nobleman whose tragic fate has never been forgotten. His heavy footsteps echo through the corridors, as if retracing his final moments. Those who listen closely claim they hear his voice, calling out, searching for something lost to time. But he is not alone. Deep within the halls, another presence lingers, a headless figure, wandering aimlessly. Some believe it is the spirit of a servant, brutally murdered centuries ago. His fate was sealed in blood, and now, his restless soul drifts through the tower, forever bound to the place of his demise. Paranormal investigators who dared to spend the night here reported an unshakable feeling of dread. Some captured eerie EVP recordings, whispers in the darkness, voices that do not belong to the living. Others heard the sound of deliberate, heavy footsteps when no one else was there. One investigator recalled the moment he felt someone, brushing past him in an empty hallway. When he turned, there was nothing but shadows. And then, in the stillness, he heard it, a voice, right beside his ear, whispering his name. Would you dare walk these halls alone? Tell us in the comments below. Haunted Village number 8, Eyam, Derbyshire, the Plague Village. In the heart of Derbyshire, there's a village that carries the burden of one of the darkest chapters in English history. In 1665, Eyam was struck by the plague, and rather than flee, the villagers made a tragic pact to isolate themselves, sealing their fate. Over 260 men, women, and children died within months, leaving their spirits to linger in the very ground they once walked. It is said that the spirits of these victims still haunt the village. Their pain, their suffering, and their fear are trapped in time, bound to the place where they took their last breath. Witnesses who have dared to visit Eyam report seeing figures dressed in clothing from centuries past, moving silently through the streets, only to vanish into thin air. Some say they've heard the soft, mournful whispers of the dead, carried on the wind, while others speak of doors slamming shut by unseen hands. Locals and visitors alike have described strange lights appearing in the windows of abandoned homes. Flickering like candles, they offer a glimpse into the past, or perhaps a warning. Is it the restless souls, still wandering the earth, searching for peace? One visitor recalls the feeling of being watched as they stood near the village well, the very place where the villagers left their supplies for the infected. They felt an icy presence behind them, and when they turned, there was no one there, just the sound of footsteps fading away into the distance. Could these be the echoes of the past? Or is Eyam a place where the dead never truly leave? Share your thoughts below. Do you believe the plague's ghosts still walk these streets? Haunted Village Number 9, Prestbury Village, Gloucestershire. Prestbury is no ordinary English village. With its narrow, winding streets and medieval architecture, it holds a history steeped in blood and betrayal. It is said that during the English Civil War, soldiers met their end here, some on the battlefield, others in the shadows where their ghosts remain. The most infamous spirit in Prestbury is the Black Abbot. This spectral figure, draped in dark robes, is often seen gliding through the grounds of St. Mary's Church. Witnesses claim he appears on Christmas Eve, pacing the churchyard as if still bound by some unfinished duty. Those who have seen him describe an overwhelming sense of unease, as if they are being watched, even after he disappears into the mist. But he is not alone. Villagers speak of spectral horsemen thundering through the streets, their hoofbeats echoing long after they've vanished. In nearby cottages, doors creak open by unseen hands, and the chilling sound of disembodied footsteps echoes through empty halls. One visitor, staying at an old inn near the church, recalls waking in the middle of the night to the sound of shuffling footsteps. When they looked to the foot of their bed, a shadowy figure stood there, tall, cloaked, and watching. Before they could scream, it simply faded away, leaving nothing but the lingering scent of damp earth and old parchment. Could the Black Abbot still be searching for salvation? Or is he warning us to stay away? Let us know what you think in the comments below. But be careful what you say. Some claim that those who mock the spirits of Prestbury find themselves haunted long after they leave. Haunted Village Number 10, Corfe Castle Village, Dorset. Once a mighty fortress, Corfe Castle was a place of power, intrigue, and ultimately, betrayal. During the English Civil War, it was one of the last royalist strongholds, defended fiercely by Lady Mary Banks. She held the castle against repeated attacks, but treachery from within sealed its fate. In 1646, parliamentarian forces infiltrated the stronghold, overthrowing its defenders and reducing the castle to ruins. Yet, some say the echoes of its bloody past have never faded. Lady Banks, the last true defender of Corfe Castle, is still seen walking among the ruins, her spectral figure drifting through the shattered archways. Some say she appears in times of unrest, as if guarding what little remains of her fallen home. But she is not the only restless soul here. A headless woman has been spotted wandering the grounds, a tragic remnant of a brutal execution. Her form flickers in the moonlight, forever searching for something, or someone. Visitors report hearing phantom battle sounds at night, the clash of swords, the cries of dying soldiers. One paranormal investigator recalls standing alone among the ruins when the temperature plummeted. Then, a voice, whispering directly into his ear. "Run!" Terrified, he turned, only to see a shadow moving swiftly across the stones, disappearing before his eyes. What do you think? Are these spirits trapped in time, reliving the horrors of war? Or is something else haunting Corfe Castle? Tell us in the comments below, if you dare. Haunted Village Number 11, Avebury, Wiltshire. Older than Stonehenge, Avebury is a place of mystery, its massive stone circle wrapping around the entire village. Pagan rituals, druidic ceremonies, and blood sacrifices are said to have taken place here. Some believe the land itself is charged with an energy that defies explanation. But not all who visit leave unscathed. Many who walk among the stones report strange sensations, sudden dizziness, whispers carried on the wind, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Some even claim the stones move, shifting ever so slightly when no one is looking. A spectral figure in a long black cloak has been seen drifting through the mist. Some say it's a druid, still guarding the ancient secrets of this sacred site. Others have witnessed hooded apparitions standing in a circle at dawn, only to vanish when approached. One local recalled walking through the stone circle at night when everything fell silent. No wind, no birds. Then, a deep, guttural whisper came from behind him, speaking in a language he didn't understand. He turned, expecting to see another visitor, but there was no one there. Just the towering stones and the chilling realization that he was not alone. Could Avebury's stones be more than just ancient monuments? Are they watching? Waiting? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Haunted Village number 12, Dunster, Somerset. Perched high above the medieval village, Dunster Castle has stood for nearly 1,000 years. It has witnessed sieges, betrayals, and untold suffering. Some say the walls have absorbed the echoes of the past, and at night, those echoes come alive. The most infamous spirit here is the crying woman, her heart-wrenching sobs heard echoing through the halls. Some believe she was a prisoner, locked away in despair. Others say she waits for a lost love who never returned. But one thing is certain. Those who have heard her weeping never forget it. Beyond the castle walls, another apparition roams the village. A headless horseman, his black steed galloping through the cobbled streets at midnight. Witnesses report hearing the thunder of hooves, only to see a rider with no face disappear into the mist. And deep beneath the castle, in the long-forgotten tunnels, ghostly monks have been seen walking in procession. No faces, no footsteps, just shadows moving in silence before vanishing into the stone. One visitor, exploring the tunnels, felt a sudden chill. His breath turned to mist. Then, out of nowhere, the overwhelming scent of incense filled the air. Before he could react, a shadow moved past him, silent, cloaked. He turned to run, but found the exit door locked. It wasn't locked before. Is Dunster Castle truly cursed by the spirits of its past? Or are they simply waiting for the right visitor? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Haunted Village number 13, Minsden Chapel Ruins, Hertfordshire. Hidden deep within the Hertfordshire countryside, the ruins of Minsden Chapel sit in eerie isolation. Built in the 14th century, it once served as a sacred place of worship, until something went terribly wrong. As the years passed, it fell into ruin, abandoned by the living, but not by the dead. For centuries, locals have whispered about the ghostly monk, a shadowy figure draped in tattered robes. Witnesses claim he appears only under the full moon, moving silently through the ruins, his voice echoing in mournful Latin prayers. Paranormal investigators have ventured into the ruins, only to be met with chilling discoveries. EVP recordings captured faint whispers, some in English, others in an ancient dialect. One researcher described the experience as being surrounded by invisible watchers, and when they reviewed their footage, they saw a handprint on the stone wall that hadn't been there before. One visitor, exploring the ruins after sunset, reported a deep sense of unease. As he stepped inside, his flashlight flickered, and an overwhelming smell of damp earth filled the air. Then, a whisper, faint, almost pleading. "Leave now." He turned, but no one was there. And then, just as he reached the archway to escape, he felt it. An ice-cold breath against his ear. What do you think? Are the spirits of Minsden Chapel trying to warn visitors? Or are they calling them deeper into the ruins? Let us know in the comments below. Haunted Village number 14, Robin Hood's Bay, North Yorkshire. Once a bustling smuggler's haven, Robin Hood's Bay has a history steeped in secrecy and death. Countless ships met their end along this treacherous coastline, their crews swallowed by the unforgiving sea. Some say not all of them have moved on. Locals speak of ghostly footsteps echoing along the beach at night, steady, deliberate, yet leaving no trace in the sand. Fishermen, returning late from sea, have heard voices carried on the wind, mournful whispers, calling out names long forgotten. But the most chilling reports come from the cliffs. Hikers have heard the unmistakable sound of heavy boots crunching the gravel behind them, only to turn and find nothing there. One man, pausing to take a photo of the view, felt a hand grip his shoulder. When he spun around, he was alone. Perhaps it's the wind playing tricks, or maybe the sea isn't ready to release the souls it has claimed. But tell me this, if you found yourself walking these shores at night, and you heard a voice calling your name, would you answer? Haunted Village number 15, Netherstowey, Somerset. Netherstowey, once home to the legendary poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge, best known for the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. He spent years here, lost in his thoughts, weaving tales of the supernatural. But some believe something else was whispering to him in the dark. Coleridge spoke of nightmares, visions of ghostly figures, voices calling his name, a feeling that something unseen lurked just beyond the candlelight. Was it his imagination, or something far worse? Visitors to the cottage often report an overwhelming sense of unease, as if being watched from the empty corners of the room. Some have sworn they saw the shadow of a man standing by the window, only to turn and find the house completely empty. Others have been woken in the dead of night by the sound of hurried footsteps pacing the wooden floors, stopping just outside their bedroom door. Beyond the village, the true terror begins. Spectral horsemen have been spotted galloping through the countryside, their ghostly figures barely visible in the mist. Some claim to hear the thunder of hooves racing toward them, only to be met with an empty road. Others feel a cold breath at their ear, as if something unseen is whispering, waiting. In 1810, Coleridge fled Netherstowey, tormented by visions he could never explain. He once wrote of phantoms of the mind. But what if they weren't just in his head? What if something had attached itself to him, followed him beyond this village, beyond this world, and still waits for the next soul who dares to listen? From the cursed ruins of Pendle Hill to the ghostly whispers of Netherstowey, these villages are more than just remnants of the past. They are places where history refuses to stay buried, where the spirits of the lost and the damned still roam, unseen but never absent. Some say these hauntings are just folklore, echoes of tragedy twisted into legend. But those who have dared to walk these streets after dark, they know better. Because in places like these, the past isn't gone. It's just waiting. Now, the real question is, would you dare to spend a night in one of these villages? Have you ever visited one and felt something watching? Tell us your story in the comments. And if you haven't, would you risk it? These villages hold stories of the dead that refuse to be forgotten. If you ever visit, beware, because some spirits don't just haunt places. They haunt people. If you enjoyed this journey through the UK's most haunted villages, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Real Ghost Stories, and turn on notifications, because the next terrifying tale might be even closer than you think.